Let's see here. I never know how bright to go. Do you go that bright? Do you go that bright? Yeah, please ignore that. We were setting up Christmas decorations and there's also some reorganizing going on. So just get rid of that, okay? Just ignore it. I needed somewhat of a break from the concave, convex world that I've been living in and cleanse my palette with some nice, flat, corporate, long lens, shallow depth of field. No. More corporate. Slap the corporate on there. And give me some really corporate music, you know, some that's like, it's really the future of your children that we truly care about, which is why we at Keller Industries have vowed to cut carbon footprints by over 65% and start walking more. No. Let's do something dramatic. Hit me again, bring it back. It's not every day that you get an opportunity to really understand the meaning of the word race. Ignore that. That's not good. That's not good at all. Happy Thanksgiving Eve. I, just kind of don't really have a video. I went out, I was in Milford and helping my mom with some stuff. Went out to dinner. It was nice. And what I'll tell you about this camera, so this is the 360 camera that I've been using. And what I'll tell you about this thing is, are you familiar with the story of the woman who complains about how small her house is? So they they tell her to add all these animals in, and she's like, well, my house is just more and more crowded. It's not making my house any bigger. And they're like, okay, now get rid of all the animals. And she's like, wow, my house feels huge. Well, that's how this camera makes me feel, because it adds another hour and a half of editing onto my videos. So when I'm not using that camera for the first time in like 8 or 9 days, I'm like, wow, I have so much additional time to edit and just chill at the end of my evening. So it's done that for me. It does make you kind of feel sick. It's very gimmicky. It's worth the money in terms of the technology that you're paying. It's $500. It's worth that, but, it's like this weird thing where it's got so much potential. Like, I feel like it's really got this tremendous amount of untapped potential that, I just can't quite access, or I can almost visualize it, but it would just take so much time. But I think really what it is ultimately is that in order for it to be in a place where I feel like I could incorporate it in my dailies, is you got to get the editing workflow time down. It's just to be doing daily videos. When you see people doing those crazy, like you see these crazy edits with the 360 camera, and it's not like it's necessarily difficult. I think anyone can do it. You just realize that it's painfully tedious to get there. And when you have, like myself, just like an hour or two at the end of your day generally to edit, it's not really that appealing. And then on top of it, this is 5.7K resolution, which sounds really high, but what it is it's 5.7K to encompass all that information. Which, when you think of it in terms of that, like, you're watching a 4K image right now. And when you think about stretching that, this is just one field of view. Imagine stretching that all the way around us. You realize that kind of degrades it down to something that's like less than 1080p. So when you want to push in and get something that isn't fisheye, you get really grainy looking footage. And that's what also makes it really bad in low light. So it's awesome. It's just not something I could really incorporate in my everyday usage, mainly because of that editing issue. So it's something I'm probably going to return this camera, collect the money back, and I will most likely buy it again and return it again, but I will just buy it and keep it for small projects. If I have a cool video coming up, maybe a cool location that's kind of special, it is something nice to have as, a part of your utility, but just not all the time. It's not a good storytelling tool all the time, just in certain circumstances. So it's great, but it's just not great enough yet. I think the technology is there, because in theory, if you could have this thing being like 16K or 32K, and you could punch in way into those images and flatten them out with no distortion and get crisp images with really good, color science with it, you'd be looking at some really game-changing methods, but it's just not quite there, at least not on the prosumer level. And right now there's such a gap between this one being $500 and, you know, there's a couple that are about equivalent. And then the next step up, you know, is what they use for like Google Maps and like virtual tours for real estate. And that stuff gets into the multi-thousand, and I'm just not that impressed with it. The realm of this that I have not just, you know, played around with is that they do make attachments kind of unofficially for drones. So you can hang this from your drone. You already know that spices my pickle, but yeah, I'm just, you know, that's something for down the road. Also, I'd like to return it because I wouldn't mind taking a look at some of that FPV drone that might be in the future. Anyways, yeah, I am just gonna enjoy my evening because it is a wonderful holiday evening, and tomorrow's Thanksgiving. I'm looking forward to that. I'm gonna go enjoy myself a nice glass of whiskey, and I'm gonna edit this video. So thank you all so much, and I'll see you tomorrow.